This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, in every way, I'm gonna let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, in every way, I'm gonna let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, in every way, I'm gonna let my little light shine. On a Monday,
He gave me the gift of love.
on a Tuesday,
His peace came down from above.
on a Wednesday,
He told me just what to say.
on a Thursday,
He taught me just how to pray.
on a Friday,
He gave me a little more faith.
on a Saturday,
He gave me a lot more grace.
on a Sunday,
He gave me the power divine.
to let my little light shine. This little light of mine,
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it
This
shine.
little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day,
Every day.
every day,
Every day.
every day, in every way, I'm gonna let my little light shine. On a Monday,
He gave me the gift of love.
on a Tuesday,
His peace came down from above.
on a Wednesday, he told me just what to say. On a Thursday,
He taught me just how to pray.
on a Friday,
He gave me a little more faith.
on a Saturday,
He gave me a lot more grace.
on a Sunday, he gave me the power divine to let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day,
Every day.
every day,
Every day.
every day, in every way, I'm gonna let my little light
I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine.
You got something.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Hi Tiny Treasures, it's so great to have you with us again on a Sunday. Now today I thought I would tell you about one of my favourite Bible stories. I'm going to give you a few clues. Now the character in our story mainly ate fruit and vegetables. And the country that he lived in wasn't the country he was born in. He was taken there when he was a little boy. Do you have any ideas? And Isaac's got another clue.
These are another clue. Do you know what the story is?
Things were not looking good for God's people. They had been captured and taken far from home, and now they were slaves of the king of Babylon. But God had not left his people. He was with them and he was looking after them. Daniel loved God and obeyed him. Now God made Daniel able to understand lots of difficult things, so it wasn't long before the king of Babylon noticed him. King Darius liked how clever Daniel was, so he made Daniel his most important helper of all and put him in charge of lots of other helpers. But the other helpers didn't like this. They wanted the king to like them best. They wanted to get rid of Daniel. So they spied on him. They tried to find things wrong with Daniel, things they could tell the king, but there weren't any. None. Not at all. They couldn't find anything. Except there was just the one thing. Every day, 3 times a day, without fail, no matter what, Daniel went to his room, closed the door, and prayed. They smiled to themselves. Let's get the king to make a law. No one is allowed to pray to anyone except to the king. Daniel won't obey this law, and he will be punished. They were pleased with themselves for being so clever and hurried off to tell the king. The king liked their idea. He didn't know they were tricking him, so he made it into a law. Everyone must pray, only to me. If you don't, the lions will have you for their dinner. Daniel heard this. He knew it was wrong to pray to anyone except God. He had to do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant he would die. So Daniel went to his room, closed the door, and prayed, just like he did every other day. That's just what the bad men knew Daniel would do. They skipped straight off to tell the king. "Oh, your most glittering highness, your law says, does it not, that everyone must pray to you alone, sire?" "Yes," said the king. "Oh, your highness, then correct us if we're wrong, but it would seem that Daniel is praying to God and not to you." The king was sad. He had been tricked. He didn't want to hurt Daniel, but he couldn't change his law. And so he let the soldiers throw Daniel into the lions. "May your God, who you love so much, rescue you," the king said. The king went back to his palace, but he didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. He tossed and he turned until finally, at the first glimmer of dawn, he leapt out of his bed and ran straight to the den. "Daniel," he cried, "has your God rescued you?" "Yes," Daniel shouted. "God sent an angel to close the lions' mouths." And there, resting his head on Daniel's lap, was the biggest lion, purring like a little kitten. The king brought Daniel out of the den. "Look," he said, "Daniel doesn't even have a scratch." The king made a new law. Daniel's God is the true God, the God who rescues. Pray to him instead.
I love the story of Daniel because actually being in a den full of lions is probably the scariest thing I can think of. What about you, Isaac? Do you think it'd be pretty scary?
Yeah, but it probably wouldn't be the scariest thing ever.
Oh, wouldn't it? But do you remember what Daniel did? What did Daniel do?
He prayed to God to keep him safe.
He did, and God sent an angel, and the angel kept the lions' mouths shut so they didn't eat him. And the king was so happy to find Daniel alive that he told everyone that Daniel's God was the real God and they should all pray to him. Isn't that wonderful? Now, Isaac, would you like to do a little prayer?
Dear God, please make us be able to get over our frights and be able to have a nice, peaceful time when you're dreaming or just doing something outside. Amen.
Amen. We'll see you again next week. Bye.